make a text file. Take a copy of the license, put it in a text file, stick it in a license directory in your overlay, and you're up and running. This is important because actually Portage enforces this. If it cannot find a proper license file for an e-build, it will not install it, because the user should be allowed to see the license before you install something. But it is as simple as just making a text file and stick it into a license directory in your overlay. Update your e-builds digest. This is done automatically. I'll show you, and then test it. And that's about it. That's the checklist. So, let's try something simple. This was done before the official suite decided to finally update to a modern version of MesaLib. I created an e-build for a newer version of MesaLib. Mesa, actually, I just called it MesaLib. So what we do is, I go into my overlay, I put it in user local Portage, which is the default place. I have decided that I want to stick MesaLib in MediaLibs category, so I create those two directories. I populate it with the changelog, metadata, and the skeleton for the e-build, which I rename to MesaLib, and then the version of MesaLib. Now, if I would make more revisions of this, I would put a -r something on it, but as this is the only revision at the time, it is revision 0, and you normally don't show that. Question? Okay. And then I just get the source and put it into user support test file because it's faster. So, what to put in metadata? Metadata basically contains, most useful, an email address to whoever is stupid enough to decide to maintain this package. The one person you contact if something doesn't work. In this case, that person is me. So I put in my email address here, and if I want to describe exactly what I mean by maintainership, within could be anything from, hey, if you have a problem, contact me, I'm going to solve it within 24 hours, or send me an email and I might get a new version out in 6 months. You can put a description. It's just a text file used for people using your e-build to see what you actually mean by you maintain it.
Yeah, but submit your bugs to bugs@gentoo.org. Don't email developers directly, we get angry. Or we just don't reply.
And if you feel like it, you can also write a long novel about this package and whatever it does. I have yet to see someone actually filling that part out, but... Okay, the changelog. Well, we haven't really changed anything, so I just put in that it is the initial import. And the skeleton file has a description of what format the official Gentoo package tree want the changelog to have. And if you want to submit your package, follow that. If you don't want to submit your package, hey, do whatever you want. It's just a text file. But one thing though, by keeping this format like this, where you, for every e-build, specify what has happened, you can actually ask Portage to show the changelog from whatever version you have installed to whatever version is available. If you do something else, Portage will probably not like it. Now, the e-build itself. In this case, I have given a short description. I have pointed to the home page of where the software comes from. I show here where Portage can find the source, and you'll notice there's this variable. This is one of the variables that Portage provides, which means, in this case, is package version. Means that This line I can keep copying for every version. This is just me being lazy. I could also just write the version, and then when I make a new e-build of a new version of Mesolit, change it. But if you maintain a package, it's useful that most of your existing e-build can be reused whenever you make a new e-build for a new version. The license is the MIT license. The slots, I will not go into slots today because that is a bit more advanced. I have here been specified the keyword that I consider my e-build stable in my first attempt. That might be a little stupid, but since I'm only running it on my own machine, then I can do whatever I want. A better policy usually is to create it unstable, and then, even though it only runs in your machine, override your package configuration and specify that this specific package you want in an unstable version. But again, you can do what you want. I use which use flags this package knows and does something with. In this case, none. It doesn't care about use flags. It does not depend on anything. Again, if the author of the e-build makes mistakes in for instance, dependencies, of course, then the e-build will probably break. That is not Portage's fault, it's the author's fault. So, but I didn't really find any serious dependencies. Of course, you can specify there therefore are of course some dependencies, so maybe some standard library stuff.
Like virtual glibc.
Virtual glibc, but the usual policy is only put stuff here that you know is not in the system. Thing that is obviously on a system, you don't want to put here, because it's redundant. Restrict. I have specified no mirror here. It basically means that Portage should always go to this address and not try to find mirror. I will not go into mirrors. You can learn this yourself by reading the existing official e-builds. Rdepend. You can actually specify two kinds of dependencies. Depend is just things that the software you install depends on for running on your system. Rdepend means things that Portage need for building the stuff.
You had it backwards.
Ah.
Rdepend is
Oh, sorry, yeah.
runtime.
Runtime dependency. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Rdependents are for running. Depend is for building. Sorry. And in this case, this is an old build. I actually specified S unless when you unpack your software, it makes some strange structure. You normally don't want to override S. S specify where the source is put, basically.
The sandbox.
The sandbox, yeah.
Yeah. And he has continued here, but it's interesting to note that if this software package uses the standard /configure make install nats, that's a complete e-build. You don't need anything more. It'll just install from that. So
Portage has some default implementations of each of the states, and if you can use them, hey, go ahead. If you need to do something else, then you can overwrite them. You can also overwrite them just because you want to make sure that even though Portage might change something, your e-build doesn't. Again, your choice. You'll see that this e-build is pretty small. I have here chosen to overwrite compile. This is because I, for Mesolit, need to not just run make, but also actually run it with a specific target. But this is a compile stage. You will notice there are no unpack stage, because Portage knows how to unpack a TLUG file. And the install state, I have chosen here to use the dodir tool. This is simply a makedir wrapper, which knows that it's in the sandbox. So by telling it I want to have